and kind, natural people person. And he's taught me two really important lessons. First, when I was 5 years old, he taught me how to close a sale. It's weird, right? So imagine me at 5 in KB Toy Store, in any mall, in any state. Instead of being that 5-year-old who was crying and screaming, please give me a toy, I said, Daddy, which of these two do you prefer? And why? It's his first mistake. He made his choice. I carried the bag out of the store. Sale closed. But what I realized that he really taught me was how to ask engaging questions that elicited more than just a yes or no answer. In 1980, he gave me a worn copy of Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People. I was 6. So Carnegie's book was published in 1936. It's now celebrated 78 years in publication, with over 15 million copies sold worldwide. Why give this to a 6-year-old? Looking back and in conversations with him as an adult, I understand what he wanted me to understand. And that is that through interactions, personal interactions, and human connections, we open doors of possibility. And I can't think of a better place to talk about personal interactions than right here at Student Affairs. So show of hands, who here can recall 10 people that you've worked with, 10 students, the names of them that you've worked with this year? Awesome. Now, next one. Who can recall the names of 10 students you worked with 10 years ago? It's harder. Last one. Raise your hand if you've ever met somebody at an event, and then you see them a couple weeks later and you cannot for the life of you remember their name. And yet somehow you are in a position, an awkward position, where you're the one who has to introduce them. This is bad, right? Those of you who may know me really well know that networking for the sake of networking is not something that interests me, and here's why. A random collection of business cards hurriedly grabbed or exchanged at a conference doesn't mean to me the same thing that personal interactions and positive working relationships mean. And I'm not talking about, any ulterior motives in trying to connect with people, just genuine positive working relationships. Now, I work with the Department of Residence Life, and we, on average, have about 65 student leaders working at any given time. 65. It's not an option for me to not know who they are. I'm the HR person, the timesheet person, etc. And I may not get to work with all 65 individuals closely throughout the year. But what I do is engage with them on a day-to-day basis, as well as our professional staff members. They're my clients. I serve the professional and student staff members who in turn serve the entire residential community here at UAA. They're my customers. What's in a name? Remembering people's names and connecting names to faces is not always an easy thing, and I will admit, even though I may appear good at it for those of you who know me, I'm not. It takes work. When I was a kid, I was actually really shy, and it was difficult for me to make friends. What would happen is I would get so drawn into the fact that I couldn't remember someone's name when I first met them, I'd get really nervous. So I remember like 6, 7 years old, so nervous that I can't remember their name, but there's a spiral effect. And I can't connect with them at that point. Dale Carnegie said that a person's name to that person is the sweetest and most important sound in any language. And I believe that. It gets people's attention. And so I'm a list maker. And because the first day of class in any grade, even in college, even when you're the faculty member, is not always easy for the shy kid, I would grab my spiral notebook. And the minute that the teacher started calling roll, I would start writing down the names of the students in class and a defining feature about them. Ryan Rigetti, first grade, Mrs. Schmidt's class. Blonde hair, blue eyes, ballet dancer. Stacy Oates, second grade, Doris Lombard's class. She always had a ponytail. And she brought pomegranates to school. It's a weird thing. Third grade, Eric McGill, also Mrs. Lombard's class. Tallest boy in the third grade, and he had an eye patch. It was so cool. I remember these people because I make the effort to connect names and faces because I was so shy. By knowing someone's name, I was able to then move on to get to know them a little bit better. It freed me and gave me the confidence to talk to them. And that's not always easy to make connections and then maintain those connections, especially for us here in student affairs. We're incredibly busy. We have a lot that we're doing, and it's really hard to find those opportunities to look up from the work that we do day to day. We may miss those interactions, those opportunities to collaborate with students and faculty and staff. So how do we juggle that? How do we juggle trying to get everything we're supposed to do with trying to connect with and serve our students? It's not easy. And then on top of that, how do we carve out time to collaborate with others in our division or outside of our division and come up with new and innovative ways to do things? It's challenging, but I have 3 suggestions. First, I suggest that you treat each interaction with kindness and respect, because above all else, we're all in the business of helping our students, helping each other toward a common goal. Our students and our colleagues are our customers, essentially. Second, give thanks. My mother is a strong proponent of giving out thank you cards for every gift received in a very timely manner. I'm not as good at that. They're a little bit late. But giving thanks is vital to the human connection. And it feels good to be appreciated for the work that you do. And it feels good to appreciate others and the work that they do. Third, take a few moments each day to make conscious, not random, acts of kindness. It could be something as simple as, you know, a colleague's getting ready to leave for a conference out of state. Email them and wish them safe travels. Maybe you are working with a student and you want to check with them and see how they're doing. Follow up with them. Send them a quick email. Let them know that you're thinking about them. Or maybe you read something that you think, oh, this department over here would really appreciate this. I'm going to send this to them. Do that. Connect with them and share information. I'm going to give you an example of one small act of kindness that surprised me and how it affected me personally. Several years ago, I worked with student media with the Student Life and Leadership Office right upstairs. Yes. A student walked in and he was looking for work, not for himself, but for his partner. And I was so taken by how passionate he was about helping her find work on campus. And also, he had a studded leather collar on and the most zippers I've ever seen on one pair of pants. And these attributes combined really made a lasting impression on me. And in the next year, I kept running into him right here in the student union. And I'd say, okay, how's it going? You know, we had nice little conversations. Every time that I ran into him, he was genuinely surprised that I not only remembered his name, but that I remembered his story. He was genuinely surprised by that. Shortly after that, his partner got a job in our office as a student leader. And then, right after that, he did as well. So I had an opportunity to work with these individuals, and they grew as student leaders, they graduated, they married. I was invited to their wedding. I did their wedding cake. It's meaningful. And I look back at that time that I first interacted with him, and I didn't have to keep saying hi in the hallway. I mean, we're all busy. We're trying. I'm late. I have so much paperwork to do. Head down. It happens sometimes. We know we'll get pulled in if we check in with people in the hallways. But because of those conscious acts of kindness, I had the opportunity to not watch just one, but 2 students become amazing student leaders. And here's the surprise for me. They became incredibly dear friends. And in fact, his wife is right here in student affairs. Raise your hand back there. Liz shine. So Dale Carnegie says that a person's name to that person is the sweetest sound and most important sound that they'll ever hear in that language. But I'd like to counter that and say that the acknowledgement of and the engagement of the staff and students that we work with is sweeter still. Now, we're all student affairs professionals here. And I want you to think about this. We each have the opportunity and the benefit of that opportunity in our roles to make a connection and to impact students and colleagues that we work with on a day-to-day basis through even the smallest of interactions. Even the smallest of interactions can make a difference. The smallest ones. And challenge yourself to recall both the phenomenal students and staff as well as the notorious ones that you may have worked with in your time. Because what you'll find is that as much as you have impacted them, they have impacted and informed who you are as professionals today. And I'll leave you with this, one challenge: to reconnect with people that you may have met in the past here today. Renew those connections, make new connections. And in the coming months, reconnect with those people and maintain and nourish those relationships through conscious acts of kindness. Thank you.